Hello! Welcome into the Big 1-2 picks for the week. I'm Paul Kedley alongside JD Piquel. JD, we both went undefeated last week.
We'll take it.
We picked the same games all the way around, so you gained nothing on me.
Right.
I'm still up by 3 on you as we head into crunch time. Mm-hmm. I even made the bold choice to tell you exactly who I was picking before. That's how confident I am on how well this is going for me.
Okay.
So I'm not scared of you yet. You're going to have to maybe make up some ground in bowl season. And this week in the Big 12, there's not a whole lot of toss-up games when you really think about it on paper here until you get to the bottom in Bedlam, which obviously was the last game we picked because it's going to be the hardest one to pick because it is Bedlam. Oklahoma's won a whole bunch of those in a row and a whole bunch of the this many out of this many. It's not been great for Oklahoma State, but it's a different year and a different time. So let's get started. Kansas State at Texas. Texas has lost 6 straight. JD and the Kansas State's lost their quarterback in Skylar Thompson. JD, does Texas lose 7 straight to close it out?
Texas loses 7 straight to close it out. I think you just have too much if you're Kansas State. I mean, they're going to not have Skylar Thompson talked about, but just the culture at Texas is just gone to the dogs. There is nothing you can do at Texas, especially without Bijan Robinson. I just think there's too much against them. I think they packed it in for the year. The cleansing continues. Kansas State rolls. I got the Cats.
Today in his press conference, Steve Sarkisian already talking about getting a transfer quarterback, maybe playing, their true freshman. He said anything and everything is open. He's already talking about the roster for next year while they still, again, he's answering questions. Mm-hmm. Already talking about the roster for next year while he still has a game to play. That's Kansas State all day. Even though it is in Austin, they're not invulnerable anywhere right now. So that's Kansas State all day, in spite of the fact that Skylar Thompson apparently suffered a pretty bad injury against Baylor.
Yeah.
All right, TCU at Iowa State. TCU, another team, going to be maybe hiring a new coach, and it's probably Sonny Dykes here in the coming near future. Whenever it might have already happened by the time you see this. I don't know, but we'll see if that happens. That's where all the heat is around TCU right now. They're at Iowa State, a team that's had a very, very disappointing season at 6-5. But I am not betting against Matt Campbell in the last home game of the season. Cyclones go 7-5. TCU stays at home.
Yeah, rolling with the Clones. I think TCU is a fun pick. They're a fun story right now. But if you're being realistic with yourself, TCU doesn't have the horses. They don't have a leader, really. They have had some, games like they snuck up on Baylor. They had some resiliency. But Iowa State, too many good players. They're going to send their seniors out the right way. Like you said, Matt Campbell. There's too much there for Iowa State to lose this week. I like the Cyclones as well, especially at home.
By the way,
day?
That's a senior day that's got to have like 66 guys.
Oh, it's going to be packed.
It's ridiculous.
It's going to be the most decorated senior day in all the Big 12 this coming Saturday. It's going to be awesome.
Texas Tech at Baylor. This one's a little interesting in that Joey McGuire will be probably helping out with this game plan. I can't tell you that for sure, but I can tell you that for sure.
Right?
If you're Texas Tech, he's going to help out with the game plan. I don't think he's going to have anything to do on game day. His hope, I believe, that he's at home and just takes himself out of this because it's just weird. It's weird. This doesn't happen where you hire a guy off a team that you're playing in 3 weeks. But JD, your thoughts on Baylor, who will have probably Blake Shapen at quarterback since Gary Bohannon is nursing a hamstring injury.
Yeah, the Joey McGuire Bowl, if you will. I don't anticipate, like you said, he won't be involved in the game. Probably be involved in the game plan. For Baylor, I learned a lot about them when they played Kansas State last week. Gary Bohannon goes down. Paul, tell me if I'm wrong. Offense didn't really miss a beat. Blake Shapen, potentially a more talented thrower. I don't know if he runs the offense as well as Gary Bohannon, but I like Baylor. They've been resilient all year. And they continue to be resilient in this game at home. It's another senior day with guys that have been in this program for a long time that were recruited under another head coach, decided to stay under Aranda. I think this game means a lot to them, and they're playing for their Big 12 title hopes. Need some help from another team on this list, but I think Baylor gets it done and are able to essentially leave the fate in Oklahoma State's hands.
There's a couple guys on this roster who were recruited 3 head coaches ago when they were juniors.
One
then
guy.
Everything changed. Yeah.
One guy. If we're keeping track.
Yeah. So it's been a lot for this Baylor team. You remember when I said we're talking about the Baylor quarterback roster early in the season and what they had. I thought Blake Shapen had the most potential of any of the 3 guys that we were talking about because we weren't talking about Kyron Drones yet, who was their big recruit just this last year. But I thought Blake Shapen had the most potential out of any of those 3. And I think it's not Gary Bohannon the reason that Jacob Zeno transferred. I think it's Blake Shapen because if you're the number 2, why transfer from a guy who hasn't had any starts yet? You're one play away or whatever with Gary Bohannon being the starter and proving what you can do. If the number 2 job is not on the table, that's when you transfer. I think Blake Shapen sent Jacob Zeno in the transfer portal. I'm really impressed with Blake Shapen. He's got that shortstop arm. He's got some cool athleticism. He's not big. He's not big and scary like Mayor Gary Bohannon is, but I think he's fun. I think the Baylor defense is also playing at they're not playing at their peak, but they're on their way up to it, and they can maybe even see it. I like Baylor in this one. And again, maybe not big because that's not what the offense does in the modern concept of winning big wins.
Right.
But I think Baylor firmly in control. This game probably looks like a lot like Texas Tech and Oklahoma State did the other night.
Something to keep an eye on. Kyron Drones hasn't had any game. I think he's had one game action against Kansas. Does he get some packages in this game? I think they still have his redshirt to play with. So he kind of is more of the physical comp to Gary Bohannon. Again, maybe a little bit of a hot take, but we'll see what happens with that.
He will be the backup if
if
Gary Bohannon's not available.
Yeah, so you don't want to see him taking too many snaps, but maybe they mix him in on the goal line with that big body and athleticism of his.
All right, West Virginia at Kansas. Look, Kansas has looked. They beat Texas. They came within a hair's breadth and a couple plays of beating TCU. That being said, Jarrett Dagey maybe even coming back for another year at West Virginia. I know West Virginia fans, that really scares you, but I think Kansas, the last couple weeks have been very emotional for them. They've had a lot going on. As much as I think they're improved, and I really like what Lance Leipold has going there, I got to go with the Mountaineers here to close out and get in a bowl for Neil Brown, or I guess they are in a bowl. They're 6-5. So to finish 7-5 and get even better.
How about both these programs trending so much upwards? I know Kansas lost to TCU, but for Kansas to even be in some of these games at the end of the year, I mean, that's enormous progress for them and their culture. Also, West Virginia, we counted them out. I left them for dead after the Baylor game. I was saying, okay, Jarrett Dagey, bench him, time to switch quarterbacks. All they've done is, last week just putting it on Texas. So I'm with you. I think West Virginia is able to get it done. I like them to beat Kansas. But Kansas is trending upwards. Guys are getting NIL deals now that never played an offensive snap before. People are signing with Applebee's. So I like the way that Kansas is trending. I like the way that both programs are trending. But I think West Virginia, ultimately, Jarrett Dagey, too much at the end of the day, gets the win over Kansas.
All right, now the one everybody's wondering about, Bedlam. Saturday night in Stillwater. That's a huge advantage for the Pokes. Oof. They've reinvented themselves this year, or over the last couple of years, but really this year we've seen it as a team that's defensive first. Their defense really grabs a hold of you and doesn't let go. Matchup-wise, we don't really know what Oklahoma is. They were, a bad Brock Purdy throw away from losing against Iowa State, and then this game would have been even more tragic for them if they lose. Baylor really needs Oklahoma State to win in this one. JD, your thoughts?
If you told me at the beginning of the year that this game would be for the Big 12 title, I'd say, yeah, of course, Oklahoma's playing for their Big 12 title hopes, which they still are, but Oklahoma State already having clinched a spot, and they have potentially a spot with Baylor lined up. I'm fired up about this game. Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma State, should be up for a Broyles Award. Also was head coach at Cornell for a very, very brief minute. So I'm going with Oklahoma State. I think they're able to heat up Caleb Williams. We've seen Caleb Williams against tough defenses like Baylor really struggled. He's still maturing. So I'm rolling with the Cowboys, but I think it's a very close one. Bedlam and Stillwater is a huge deal, huge factor.
Yeah, I believe Jim Knowles will be watching one game and one game only on repeat this week, and that is the Baylor win just a couple weeks ago over Oklahoma. Very similar styles that Baylor and Oklahoma State have. I think that if you follow that game plan and that script and get after Caleb Williams, get after him, make him feel like a freshman, which not many people have been able to do. Make him feel like a freshman, make him feel like he's a little overwhelmed. Limit the playmakers, which everybody's been able to do. You don't really run in Oklahoma State. Kennedy Brooks is going to have a tough time. Eric Gray, a tough time, whoever they put back there. I got to go Pokes here. They break a 6-game losing streak against Oklahoma. Plus, I think this has been true, especially for Texas, and I think it's less true but very true for Oklahoma. Since the moment that they said they were leaving the SEC, the rest of these guys were like, okay, they're not scary anymore. Don't care. You're not here. No use in being scared of you, because now you don't think like, oh, if Oklahoma wins it again this year, they can win again next year. Who cares? You have maybe 2 years left of Oklahoma being in contention for the Big 12 title, and then you're never going to have to play them again. So why not, kick him in the face on the way out the door? I think that's been the mentality. I think that also plays huge for Oklahoma State, who may not get to play them. This might be the last game that Oklahoma plays in Stillwater for a very, very, very long time. I think Oklahoma State wins here, and I think it's pretty in their favor in the fourth quarter and not really that close.
Okay.
I think they are that strong and that confident going into the Big 12 title game. And this is the best shot right here for CFP. I think, for the Big 12 right here.
100%.
And I think this is the best shot and not this one because the committee's told you what they think of them all year long.
Yeah, 100%. And the fact this game might be the last time they play Bedlam is just absolutely heartbreaking, but I'm with you. Oklahoma made the bullseye that much bigger when they said, hey, peace out, going to the SEC. And Texas has reaped the benefits of that, or I guess the lack thereof. So, no, I'm fired up. It's going to be a great game, great atmosphere. Still, being in Stillwater is just, you can't put a value on that. That is enormous and it's going to pay dividends. Caleb Williams played a lot of tough places. He hasn't played in Stillwater yet. We're going to see how we get shaken up there.
Absolutely. All right, like and subscribe to CFB with JD, and so many of you have over the last few weeks, so thank you and keep doing that. And, of course, subscribe to anything here on 365 Sports that you see. Like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, tell everybody. I keep, pleading and making dares, but I don't think I've got anything left. It's almost the end of the season. Just do it. Do it. You don't want me to cry alone in my room? Because I will. I will, people. I will. And don't make me do that. Make me be a little happier just in life. It's good for America. It's good for the world that I'm a happier person and JD's a happier person. Have a great football weekend, everybody.